The church stood in an eerie hush, a heavy stillness enveloping the air like a shroud, as if the very walls held their breath, waiting for the storm to break. In the suffocating silence of the hall, the air conditioning whispered its chilling tune, while the shuffling of hesitant feet echoed like distant thunder. Eyes, heavy with pity, flickered towards me, some daring to meet my gaze, while others turned away, as if my very presence was a storm they could not bear to face. My husband of 37 years, Richard, lay in a polished walnut casket, a serene figure surrounded by his beloved white lilies, the air thick with the weight of loss. I perched in the front row, encased in a rigid black dress that had long been forgotten, my gaze locked onto his lifeless visage. My fingers gripped the handkerchief in my lap, its fabric already soaked with the weight of my tears. But grief swiftly receded into the shadows, overshadowed by a far more sinister presence, a reality I never fathomed I would confront on that fateful day. Just behind me, their voices erupted, a cacophony of tension and turmoil that sent shivers down my spine. "I warned you. Dad promised me the house. My eldest son, David," spat out, his voice laced with betrayal and fury. My daughter, Amanda, fired back with a fierce intensity. The house? Oh, the house. A looming spectre of secrets and shadows, where every creak of the floorboards whispers tales of despair and longing. What dark mysteries lie within its walls? What tragedies have unfolded in its haunted halls? The very air is thick with anticipation, as if the house itself holds its breath, waiting for the next chapter of its twisted saga to begin. Is this a joke? What about Mother? And what of the business? What dark secrets lie beneath its polished surface? What treachery brews in the shadows? The stakes are high, and the tension is palpable. He declared, with a voice that echoed through the air, that I would take the reins of the business. Who? Me? How could you possibly navigate the treacherous waters of finance when you can hardly manage the simplest of tasks, balancing a checkbook? The very thought is enough to send shivers down the spine. Their words sliced through the atmosphere, sharp and unforgiving, each syllable a dagger aimed at my very soul. Heads snapped around, eyes widened in disbelief, guests squirmed in their seats, some coughed nervously, while hushed murmurs rippled through the crowd. Yet, I remained steadfast, refusing to glance back. I sat there, paralyzed, as if time itself had come to a screeching halt. Voices clashed like thunder, a tempest of accusations swirling around Richard's inheritance, even as his lifeless form lay in solemn repose within the church's hallowed walls. As I perched beside his casket, the echoes of our shattered life reverberated around me, each moment devoured like carrion by merciless vultures, feasting on the very essence of our love. Do you truly believe that leading a charity bestows upon you the mantle of responsibility? David spat the words, laced with venom. At least I'm not sinking into the abyss of debt, exploiting my father's demise for a twisted profit. Amanda unleashed her fury. Suddenly, a third voice pierced the air, the unmistakable tone of our youngest, Mark. Everything hangs in the balance, a fragile thread of fate, as the will remains shrouded in silence, unread and untouched. Cease this savage brawl, this primal clash of beasts. Father would hang his head in utter disgrace. But Mark's voice quivered, a fragile whisper, not born of rage. Absolutely not. Driven by sheer terror. The gut-wrenching terror that seizes you as you witness your family splintering, fracturing, right before your very eyes. With a heart pounding like a drum, I dared to turn my head, just a fraction, just enough to catch a glimpse of them lurking in the shadows of my vision. David's face burned crimson, veins throbbing like a tempest ready to erupt. Amanda stood there, arms crossed defiantly, her lips pressed into a thin, unforgiving line. Mark stood there, a figure adrift in a tempest of uncertainty, his eyes wide with confusion, as if the very ground beneath him had crumbled away. I felt the urge to unleash a primal scream, a sound that could shatter the very silence around me. With a surge of defiance coursing through my veins, I yearned to rise and command their departure, to shatter the silence with my will. Yet, there I remained, a silent sentinel beside the casket, the weight of the moment pressing down like a heavy shroud. The casket of my husband, a haunting reminder of love lost, lies before me, shrouded in sorrow and despair. In that very moment, everything changed. With a sudden surge of intensity, David lunged forward, his finger jabbing accusingly at Amanda. "You vanished like a ghost, leaving nothing but echoes of your absence. Do not pretend for a moment that you ever truly cared." I remained, a choice heavy with unspoken consequences. I stood by my father's side, assisting him in every endeavour, every struggle, every moment of need. Amanda violently thrust his hand aside, her eyes blazing with fury. "Do not lay a finger on me." Their voices soared once more, a tempest of emotions brewing in the air. As the tension in the room thickened, a handful of guests rose, their intentions cloaked in an air of uncertainty, ready to depart into the unknown. One of Richard's old business partners leaned in, eyes wide with disbelief, and whispered, "Unbelievable." Another woman hung her head, a wave of shame crashing over her like a dark tide. And then, a sound pierced the silence, shattering my very soul into a million irretrievable pieces. "She doesn't need the money," Amanda declared, her voice icy, her gaze piercing through me like a dagger. "She possesses the house, a fortress of secrets and shadows, where every creak of the floorboards whispers tales of the past. Allow her to linger in that place, where time stretches endlessly before her. We demand the rest." She spoke of me as if I were nothing more than a ghost, lingering in the shadows, unseen and unheard. I rose, each movement deliberate, as if the weight of the world pressed down upon me. The church descended into an eerie silence, a hush so profound it felt as if the very air had been sucked from the room. Every gaze pierced through the air, locking onto my very being. My hands shook violently as I stood before my children, the weight of the moment crashing down upon me. "You're fighting over money," I exclaimed, my voice trembling with anguish as I pointed to the lifeless form of your father resting in that box. Amanda's lips parted, a gasp ready to escape, but I swiftly lifted my hand, silencing the storm brewing within her. My journey is far from over. In the heavy stillness, an oppressive silence hung in the air, thick enough to suffocate the very breath of life. Could this truly be the outcome he envisioned? Do you truly believe he toiled endlessly, pouring his very soul into every moment, just for you to rip each other to shreds like this? Silence engulfed the room, a heavy, suffocating void where voices once echoed. No one answered. Silence hung heavy in the air, a palpable tension that gripped every soul present. No one dared to move. My gaze pierced through the tension, locking onto each of them, David, Amanda, and Mark, like a storm brewing on the horizon. And in that fleeting instant, my children vanished from my sight. I beheld the faces of strangers, their eyes glinting with untold stories and secrets lurking in the shadows. "Text. You want to discuss the will," I declared, my voice trembling with the weight of unspoken truths and hidden betrayals. "Very well. Do you dare to uncover the truth of who claims what? The stakes are high, and the revelations will leave you breathless. Prepare yourselves, for I am about to unveil a truth that has remained hidden from all of you." And then, in a moment that felt like an eternity, I paused. For the words I was on the brink of uttering held the power to shatter the very fabric of our existence. What they were blissfully unaware of was the treacherous twist that unfolded 2 months prior to Richard's untimely demise. We altered the will. He abandoned it all, casting the weight of his world upon my shoulders. And in that moment, I forged a choice that would change everything. I gazed at them, my eyes ablaze with intensity, and in a hushed tone I uttered, "You'll discover the truth by dawn." With a heavy heart, I pivoted, my steps echoing in the silence as I approached the casket once more. My hand hovered, trembling, before it finally descended upon the polished wood, a tender caress against the cold reality of loss. My tears surged back, not solely for Richard, but for the family unravelling before his very memory, a tragic spectacle of despair and loss. Behind me, they lingered, paralysed by disbelief. But what none of them could possibly fathom, what would unravel in the tumultuous days ahead. was that I harbored a scheme, a masterstroke of deception, plans that would strike like lightning, leaving them reeling in disbelief. And so it began, the fateful moment when the lawyer's letter lay in wait at home, a harbinger of chaos and upheaval. Because I wasn't merely going to reveal to them what they were receiving, I was poised to unveil the stark truth of why they were utterly unworthy of it. By Wednesday, Amanda stormed into the room, her presence electrifying the air with unspoken tension. She didn't even bother to mask her intentions. This was no visit born of affection. "Mum," she declared, her voice slicing through the air as she stood poised in the doorway, draped in a designer coat, her sunglasses firmly in place, an impenetrable shield against the world. "Shall we engage in a conversation? What of the funeral? Or the inheritance?" I demanded, my voice devoid of emotion. Her smile quivered, a fragile mask on the brink of shattering. "Oh, how could you possibly choose to act in such a way?" Tempers flared, and the air crackled with tension. "But you know the tempest that brews within David. And Mark." The tension hangs thick in the air, a storm brewing on the horizon of fate. He struts around, playing the role of the peacemaker, as if the world hinges on his every word. It's simply unbearable. My gaze was locked onto her, a tempest of emotions swirling within me. She never even bothered to inquire about my well-being. Not a single word about her father was uttered, as if he were a ghost haunting the shadows of their conversation. She descended upon the chair, an intruder in the sanctity of the moment. "Listen closely. Dad made it abundantly clear, time and time again, that I would have a stake in the business. This is not just a passing comment, it's a promise etched in the very fabric of our family legacy. For years, I have poured my heart and soul into my charity, battling against the odds, and now, in this desperate moment, I find myself in dire need of capital. And your father's death appeared to be a perfect chance?" I inquired softly, the weight of the words hanging in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. Her cheeks ignited with a fierce crimson, a tempest of emotions swirling within her. "How can this be? It's utterly unjust." "Absolutely not," I declared with fierce conviction. "It is absolutely not." I stood, heart pounding, as the weight of the moment crashed down around me. "Amanda, the truth will be unveiled to you on Friday. Prepare yourself for the revelation that awaits. Until that fateful moment arrives, I believe it's in our best interest for you to stay away." Her eyes widened in disbelief as she stared at me, a moment suspended in time, heavy with unspoken words. "Are you really casting me out into the abyss? I'm demanding you to acknowledge my worth. To your father, the man whose shadow looms large over every moment, a figure of both reverence and fear. And to me, the world trembles in anticipation." With a sudden surge of urgency, she sprang to her feet, her coat swirling around her like a tempest. "Oh, the gravity of your error, Mother. How can you not see the abyss that lies ahead? Mark my words, you will rue the day you choose to exclude us from this. The consequences will be dire." With trembling hands, I approached the door, my heart pounding like a drum in the silence of the night. As I grasped the cold handle, a shiver ran down my spine. I swung it open, the creaking hinges echoing like a haunting whisper in the dark. Only time will reveal the truth of our fate. And as she erupted from the room, I caught a fleeting glimpse of the fierce woman she had transformed into. Not the girl who once adorned my bathroom with the scent of nail polish, tears streaming down her cheeks as she mourned the heartbreak of school dances. This woman was an icy enigma, her heart encased in a fortress of frost. Sharper, as if she had forged her heart into a lethal weapon, ready to strike at any moment. That fateful night, I found myself perched on Richard's side of the bed, the air thick with unspoken tension. I gazed at the desolate pillow, my voice trembling as I uttered, "They will loathe me." But somewhere, I envisioned his voice echoing back, "Then they never loved you as you deserved." Friday arrived with a thunderous crash, as if the very heavens had conspired to hasten its approach. Once more, I found myself at the lawyer's office, the clock ticking ominously as I arrived early, anticipation clawing at my insides. The conference room lay in wait, meticulously arranged with pristine folders, a glistening carafe of water, and 4 chairs poised like sentinels, one for me, and one each for the enigmatic David, the sharp-witted Amanda, and the ever-calm Mark. They crept in, each arrival a whisper of tension, a heartbeat in the silence. David, clad in a navy suit, strode forward with the weight of the world on his shoulders, as if he were marching into the very jaws of justice. Amanda stood there, arms crossed, a storm brewing within her, her fury palpable in the air around her. Mark stood there, a haunting figure, his silence echoing the weight of sleepless nights. His eyes, darkened and weary, told a tale of exhaustion that words could never capture. Not a single gaze dared to meet another. The silence hung heavy in the air, suffocating and palpable. Mr. Callahan burst through the door, the weight of the world in his hands as he slammed the folder onto the table, his piercing gaze locking onto mine with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. I nodded, the weight of the moment crashing down upon me like a tidal wave, each heartbeat echoing the gravity of my decision. He cleared his throat, the sound echoing like a thunderclap in the tense silence that enveloped the room. Behold! The moment has arrived for the dramatic unveiling of the final will and testament of none other than Richard Allen Bennett. They all leaned in, anticipation crackling in the air. In a twist of fate, Mr. Bennett has chosen his wife, Evelyn Bennett, to wield the power as the sole executor of the estate, a decision that echoes with implications and unspoken tensions. In the wake of his demise, a tempest brews as all properties, businesses, accounts, and assets are thrust into her grasp, granting her absolute dominion over his legacy. In the suffocating stillness, a heavy silence envelops the air, thick with unspoken words and lingering tension. Then David exclaimed, "Wait! All of it?" Amanda's eyes narrowed, a storm brewing within their depths. "What will become of the shares, the house?" Mr. Callahan pressed on, his voice a thunderous echo in the charged atmosphere. Mr. Bennett, in a twist of fate, has penned a letter destined to be read aloud, while Mrs. Bennett, not to be outdone, has left her own chilling instructions to be followed. With trembling hands he tore open the envelope, the air thick with anticipation and dread. I beheld the expressions of my children, their eyes wide with wonder, as Richard's voice echoed through the air, weaving a tapestry of emotion with his written words. Should these words reach your ears, know this: I have vanished into the abyss, and I pray that I departed in tranquility. My heart was yours, every beat echoing the depths of my affection for you all. In a world where secrets lurk in every shadow, 3 names echo with intensity: David, Amanda, Mark, each one a thread in a tapestry of fate, their destinies intertwined in a dance of betrayal and revelation. Yet, I must declare this: I've witnessed the transformation that wealth has wrought upon your very soul, and the very idea of my demise tearing you apart was a torment I could not endure. In a heart-wrenching twist of fate, I have relinquished all that I hold dear to your mother, for she had never dared to utter a single request. For she was the unwavering force that bound us, the glue in our fractured world. Amanda let out a derisive laugh, her eyes narrowing with disdain. David's face flushed a deep crimson, a storm of emotions raging within him. Mark's gaze fell, heavy with unspoken turmoil. "But, Mr. Callahan declared, dramatically unveiling my second envelope, "your mother has yet another revelation to share." I stood, heart racing, as the weight of the moment crashed down upon me. "Each of you shall receive a token of fate, a twist of destiny awaits. But the time has not come. Not yet. Not until you have bared your soul and shown that you are worthy of it." David sprang to his feet, a jolt of adrenaline coursing through him. "What?" Amanda's breath caught in her throat. "It is utterly impossible." With a trembling hand, I lifted it high, a silent plea echoing in the charged air. "I can." Oh, the weight of those 2 words. A declaration. A promise. A challenge. The air crackles with anticipation, as if the universe itself holds its breath, waiting for the unfolding of destiny. I can. The power resonates, echoing through the very fabric of existence. What will come next? Only time will tell, and I shall. Your father placed his unwavering trust in me, believing I would choose wisely in this moment of turmoil, and I shall not surrender fragments of him to those wretched children who dare to trample upon his sacred memory. At long last, Mark's voice pierced the heavy silence. What could that possibly mean? My gaze pierced through the air, locking onto him with an intensity that could ignite the very atmosphere around us. Then, at the others, a tension crackled in the air, thick with unspoken words and heavy glances that could shatter the silence. In the depths of uncertainty, a revelation awaits. You will know. The truth will claw its way to the surface, shattering the silence that envelops you. In the not-so-distant future, a moment looms on the horizon, shrouded in anticipation and mystery. Soon, everything will change, and as I sank back into my seat, a chilling realization gripped me. The war had only just begun. The ride home was engulfed in an oppressive silence, thick enough to cut through. Tension hung in the air like a storm cloud, each passing moment heavy with unspoken words and unresolved emotions. As I sank into the back seat of the taxi, my gaze fixated on the window, the streets outside morphed into a dizzying whirl of colours and shadows, each passing moment a fleeting glimpse of a world I could barely grasp. The city continued its relentless march, oblivious to the tempest that raged within me, a fury gathering strength, ready to unleash chaos. In that conference room, I had unleashed a blaze that would change everything. And now, the weight of the world rested upon my shoulders, demanding that I seize the reins of chaos. My phone buzzed in my bag, a relentless reminder of the chaos unfolding around me, for the fourth time. How could I possibly need to check it? The truth was already laid bare before me, undeniable and raw. It was him, David. The very name sent shivers down my spine, a revelation that pierced through the veil of uncertainty like a dagger in the night. He would shatter first, the fragile facade crumbling beneath the weight of despair. My eyes were glued to him, every word he uttered hanging in the air like a fragile thread, ready to snap at any moment. He was utterly devastated by the news. His leg trembled violently beneath the table, and his eyes blazed with a fire of disbelief that threatened to consume him whole. Amanda, in that moment, appeared as though the very essence of her royalty had been ripped away, leaving her utterly bereft and exposed. Her fury was a tempest, raging within her like a storm unleashed. But Mark. Oh, the weight of that name hangs in the air like a storm cloud, ready to unleash its fury at any moment. What secrets lie beneath that calm exterior? What truths are waiting to be unearthed? The tension crackles, and the world holds its breath, poised on the edge of revelation. His heart shattered into a million pieces, a haunting expression of despair etched across his face. In a whirlwind of uncertainty, the mind spirals into chaos, grappling with the shadows of doubt and the echoes of unanswered questions. What lies beneath this veil of confusion? The heart races, the breath quickens, as clarity dances just out of reach, taunting and teasing in the dim light of understanding, as if a fragment of his very soul had clung to the desperate hope that I would somehow defy the odds and emerge transformed. Perhaps I was too severe, yet I had bestowed upon them their fleeting opportunity. At the funeral, shadows loomed, whispers echoed, and hearts shattered in silence. And they fell, shattered by the weight of their own ambitions. As I stood before my doorstep, a tempest of emotions surged within me, compelling me to pause, to linger in the shadows of uncertainty. The threshold of my home loomed before me, yet I hesitated, caught in a web of anticipation and dread. As I perched on the front porch, the ancient rocking chair groaned ominously beneath my weight, while the wind danced mockingly with the delicate edges of the rose bushes Richard had so lovingly planted years ago. He adored those roses, their vibrant petals whispering secrets of passion and longing. He adored our children, his affection for them burning like a fierce flame in the night. But love sees all too clearly. It witnesses all, yet chooses to love regardless. With trembling hands, I plunged into the depths of my bag, my heart racing as I unearthed a second envelope, its presence heavy with unspoken secrets. Within the confines of that ominous envelope lay 3 sealed letters, each one a harbinger of secrets waiting to be unleashed. One for each of them, a fateful gift that would change everything. In the haunting aftermath of the funeral, I poured my soul onto the page, my heart still bleeding, yet my mind sharp as a blade. Every letter unveiled a treacherous path, shrouded in mystery and fraught with peril. A formidable challenge awaits, a desperate quest to reclaim a fragment of the legacy their father once held dear. It's not merely the money at stake. It's the very essence of his values that hangs in the balance. His legacy looms like a spectre, casting shadows over the lives entwined with his fate, a haunting reminder of triumphs and tragedies that echo through the ages. I stepped into the room, the air thick with tension, and with a swift motion, I shoved the letters into the drawer, sealing secrets within. Then, with a heart pounding like thunder, I dialed 3 numbers, each ring echoing like a countdown to chaos. Silence engulfed the room as the phone rang, each chime echoing like a desperate cry for attention. But alas, no one answered. The weight of abandonment hung heavy in the air. As the shadows deepened and the night wrapped its cold fingers around the world, a message from David pierced through the silence, igniting a storm of emotions within me. David. The name echoes through the shadows, a whisper of fate intertwined with destiny. What secrets lie beneath the surface of this seemingly ordinary name? The air thickens with tension as the story unfolds, revealing the depths of his character, the choices that haunt him, and the consequences that loom like dark clouds on the horizon. Who is David, and what storm is brewing in the heart of his existence? How dare you even think of such a thing? We are his offspring, the very essence of his legacy. Oh, but you must understand, you are far from alone in this sea of sorrow. Silence enveloped the moment, a heavy shroud of unspoken words. I chose not to reply. Text as dawn broke, Mark appeared, shattering the silence of the morning. He lingered in the kitchen doorway, a figure of uncertainty, as I poured the dark liquid into my cup, the silence thickening like a storm cloud overhead. Greetings, he uttered in a whisper, the weight of his words hanging in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. Greetings. In a world where shadows loom and secrets whisper, the stage is set for a tale that will leave hearts racing and minds reeling. The curtain rises, and the drama unfolds. In a moment of uncertainty, I felt compelled to reach out, to pierce the veil of silence that hung between us. How are you holding up in this tumultuous sea of life? I nodded, a silent agreement hanging heavy in the air, the weight of unspoken words crackling like electricity between us. I'm all right. Or so I tell myself. As the shadows loom and the echoes of doubt whisper in the corners of my mind. He paused, a storm of uncertainty swirling within him. Little did I know, the shocking twist awaited me. Dad had altered the will. In the depths of my mind, a thought flickered like a dying ember, igniting a tempest of uncertainty and dread. Oh, the weight of that knowledge hangs heavy in the air, a revelation that shatters the silence. I know. I uttered with a whisper, the weight of my words hanging in the air like a fragile thread ready to snap. He was terrified of shattering your peace. Mark burst through the door, a storm of emotions swirling within him, as he dramatically yanked a chair from the table. Mum, the money means nothing to me. I truly do not. I simply cannot. My heart aches with an unbearable longing for him, and now it seems as though the very fabric of reality is unraveling before my eyes. I scrutinized him with an intensity that could pierce through the very fabric of his soul. His face, a canvas of exhaustion, bore the weight of sincerity, each line telling a story of struggle and truth. He was the sole figure to step into the shadows of grief since the funeral's haunting farewell. Amidst the chaos, there stood one silent, unwavering, the sole figure, untouched by the tempest of demands swirling around them. With trembling hands, I plunged into the depths of the drawer, the air thick with tension, and emerged with the envelope, presenting it to him as if it were a ticking bomb, ready to unleash chaos upon our fragile world. What is this madness? A missive from my very soul. Only when you delve into its depths will the truth unveil itself before your very eyes. His gaze fell upon it, then shot back to me, a storm of emotions swirling in his eyes. A faint smile flickered across my lips, a fragile glimmer in the shadows of uncertainty. Fear not. It's not a punishment. It's a revelation. A twist of fate that shatters the mundane and unveils the truth lurking beneath the surface. With a heavy heart, Mark nodded, the weight of the letter pressing against his chest as he tucked it into his jacket. He rose to his feet, a storm brewing within him. Thank you, Mother. As he vanished into the distance, I remained frozen by the window, my heart pounding, eyes glued to the taillights of his car as it disappeared into the night. I yearned for him to be the one who finally cracked the code. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting eerie shadows, Amanda's voice pierced the silence of the night with an unexpected call. Silence hangs heavy in the air, a void where greetings should reside. No gentle whispers, only, "Is this how you choose to exact your vengeance upon us?" How could this be? Dad would have never, ever wanted this. The very thought sends shivers down my spine. I maintained an eerie calmness in my voice. Amanda, this is not a punishment. Can't you see? The weight of my words hangs heavy in the air, a storm brewing between us. I'm offering you a moment to embrace honor. The haunting echoes of your father's memory linger in the shadows, a ghostly presence that refuses to fade away. Her laughter echoed with a bitter edge, slicing through the silence like a knife. What is it that you desire from me, Mother? Whip up a batch of cookies and utter those words of remorse. No, I said, my voice trembling with the weight of the moment. Remember, oh remember, the essence of your being before the cold grip of wealth overshadowed the warmth of family bonds. She slammed the phone down, the echo of finality reverberating in the air. 2 days later, I plunged into the depths of uncertainty and sent her and David their letters, each word a dagger of unspoken truths. Each one stood apart, a unique tale waiting to unfold, crafted exclusively for their desires. Amanda's desperate need for humility loomed like a dark cloud, casting shadows over her every move. David stood at the precipice of his fate, the weight of responsibility pressing down on him like a storm cloud ready to unleash its fury. Every decision loomed large, every choice a potential catastrophe waiting to unfold. The air crackled with tension as he grappled with the enormity of what lay ahead, his heart racing in the face of impending chaos. Mark's, the undeniable truth. In her letter, I implored Amanda to step into the shadows of her father's legacy, to volunteer at the very community shelter he once graced with his presence, twice a month, a haunting reminder of the past, not for a single, fleeting day, not for a mere photograph, but for 3 agonizing months. Silently, in the shadows, where whispers linger and secrets breathe. In a silence that screamed, it happened without a word of warning. David's letter struck with unyielding clarity. With a heart pounding and a voice trembling, I confronted him, demanding the return of the money he had taken from the family business, all under the shadow of Dad's name. Money he had stealthily seized before Richard's world shattered into chaos. I granted him a mere 30 days, a ticking clock, a countdown to destiny. Absolutely no lawyers, absolutely no shame. Simply take the path of righteousness. Mark's task loomed before him, a delicate whisper that concealed a profound abyss beneath its surface. With a heavy heart, I implored him to seize the ancient recording tapes, relics of his father's past, and breathe new life into them through digitization. In a heart-wrenching twist of fate, over 30 tapes lay waiting, each one a treasure trove of Richard's voice, messages, advice, laughter, and profound thoughts, all meticulously crafted for his children, a lifeline just in case the unthinkable happened. It was the last heart-wrenching gift he could ever bestow, but only if Mark dared to complete it. 7 agonizing days slipped through the fingers of time, each moment heavy with unspoken tension. Then, 2, a moment suspended in time, a heartbeat echoing in the silence as the weight of the world hung in the balance. In a moment that sent shivers down my spine, Mark reached out to me with a message. "Mark! The fourth tape has finally reached its end, a moment heavy with anticipation and dread. Little did I know, the shadows of the past had been captured by Dad's hidden lens. He spoke of us, of you, with a weight that hung in the air, thick with unspoken truths and hidden emotions. Tears streamed down my face, a torrent of emotions unleashed for the first time in years. A smile crept across my face, a flicker of light in the shadows of uncertainty. Amanda, however, fell into a haunting silence. Then, on a fateful night, a photo arrived, shattering the stillness of my world. In the dimly lit confines of the cramped kitchen, Amanda stood, apron-clad, her heart racing as she hovered beside the frail figure of an elderly woman at the shelter. The air was thick with tension, secrets waiting to be unveiled. Silence hung heavy in the air, a deafening void where words should have been. She simply stood there, her lips sealed, leaving an unsettling tension that crackled like electricity. Silence reigns, a void where words should dance. The absence of a caption looms heavy, a mystery begging to be unravelled. What secrets lie beneath this stark emptiness? The stage is set, but the story remains untold. Silence reigns, a heavy shroud of mystery enveloping the air. No words to unravel the enigma. No voice to pierce the stillness. Just a void. A chilling absence of explanation that hangs like a dark cloud, foreboding and profound. Only the image remains, a haunting echo of what once was. Silence enveloped me like a heavy shroud, my lips sealed tight, a storm of thoughts raging within. I didn't respond. I was under no obligation to do so. She was on the brink of something monumental. David remained silent, a ghost in the shadows, until the third week finally arrived. As I delicately snipped the roses, a sudden roar shattered the tranquility. His car careened into the driveway, tires screaming in protest. He stormed up the path, his face a mask of fury, the envelope clutched tightly in his hand. "Do you dare to demand your money?" With a sudden jolt, he thrust it forward, his eyes blazing with intensity. "Behold, every single cent I seized. You happy now?" My gaze locked onto him, a mask of utter indifference cloaking my true feelings. Then I declared, with a heart heavy yet resolute, "No, I am not happy, but I stand proud of you." His face, once a mask of indifference, softened ever so slightly, as if the weight of the world had momentarily lifted, revealing a glimpse of vulnerability beneath the hardened exterior. With a forceful thrust, he thrust the envelope into my trembling hands, his back already turned, a storm brewing in his wake as he strode away into the shadows. I called after him. "There's so much more at stake, David." That was merely the beginning of a tumultuous journey. He remained silent, a heavy weight of unspoken words hanging in the air. Yet, he chose not to slam the door, leaving a haunting silence in its wake. That fateful night, I found myself ensconced in my bed, trembling with anticipation as I unsealed one of the ancient tapes Mark had painstakingly digitized. It was Richard's voice, echoing through the shadows, a haunting whisper that sent chills down the spine. Fiery. Intense. In the depths of despair, a soothing presence emerges, Evelyn. If they are listening to these words, it means I have already slipped away into the shadows, and if they remain attentive, perhaps a glimmer of hope still flickers in the shadows. I clamped my hand over my mouth, a torrent of tears cascading down my cheeks. Convey to them the depths of my love. A love that burned fiercely and unyieldingly. All of them. Yet, they must navigate the treacherous path that leads them back to you. Now, you stand at the helm, the anchor of this tumultuous sea. I breathed a secret into the void of the desolate chamber. Oh, Richard, I am desperately trying. I truly am. Then I looked out into the dark hallway where 3 doors stood closed, but maybe, just maybe, starting to open. 3 weeks after the will reading, the house had shed its shroud of silence. no longer a tomb but a stage set for the unfolding drama of secrets and revelations. Grief lingered in the air, a heavy shroud that refused to lift. It lingers, an indelible shadow that haunts the very fabric of existence. Yet, in those hushed, fleeting instants, an unsettling awareness began to creep in, whispering secrets of the unknown. Action unfolds. Amanda had unleashed yet another photo upon me. In a dimly lit corner of the shelter, she found herself folding laundry, the weight of the world pressing down on her shoulders. Her expression in the photo was raw, stripped of artifice, devoid of makeup, unguarded, a moment of pure truth laid bare for all to see. Only Amanda, stepping in to lend a hand. She didn't accompany it with a text. Yet, in that deafening silence, 1,000 unspoken truths screamed for attention. She was desperately trying, her heart racing with every effort, as if the weight of the world bore down upon her shoulders. And for Amanda, the fiercely proud and razor-tongued Amanda, the very act of trying was nothing short of everything. Mark had fallen into a heavy silence once more, but this time it was not out of avoidance. No, this time he was ensnared by the haunting echoes of his father's voice. He spiraled into a dark obsession with the tapes, each haunting whisper pulling him deeper into madness as he listened, catalogued, and converted them one by one, consumed by the shadows of his own creation. He dispatched updates as if they were precious jewels, each one a revelation, a gasp of wonder in the silence of the mundane. Mark. Tape 11. The air thick with anticipation. The shadows dance ominously as secrets long buried threaten to resurface. What revelations lie within this fateful recording? The heart races, the mind spins. This is no ordinary tape. This is the beginning of the end. Dad recounted the fateful day when I plummeted from my bike, a moment etched in time, fraught with chaos and disbelief. He confessed, his voice trembling with despair, that he had never felt so utterly powerless, standing by as I wept, helpless to mend the shattered pieces of my heart. He declared, with a voice trembling on the edge of revelation, that it had imparted a profound lesson, to honour the agony that lay beyond his grasp. There were days when I would take the reins and play a tape all on my own. Richard stands at the precipice of revelation, his voice trembling with the weight of parenting's trials, the fierce demands of leadership, and the tumultuous depths of love. Each word drips with intensity, as if the very fabric of his soul is laid bare for all to witness. The air crackles with unspoken truths, and the audience hangs on his every syllable, captivated by the raw emotion that spills forth like a tempest unleashed. His voice pierced through the chilling darkness of the nights, igniting a flicker of warmth amidst the shadows. In the haunting silence, I found myself ensnared, wrapped tightly in his sweater, a fragile illusion of his presence lingering in the air. I clung to the desperate hope that he would return, just moments away from shattering the stillness that enveloped me. But David was a tempest, raging through the hearts of all who dared to cross his path. Silence hung in the air, thick and suffocating. He had sent no updates, leaving a chasm of uncertainty in his wake. He remained silent, leaving my last message hanging in the air like a ghost, unanswered and haunting. And in that moment, the truth crashed down upon me like a thunderous storm, leaving no room for doubt. I knew why. The money was merely the facade, a thin veil hiding the tumultuous storm beneath. Deep within, a tempest brews years of pent-up resentment, an unyielding pressure to embody the eldest, the stalwart, the one burdened with responsibility. And perhaps I had leaned on him far too heavily after Richard fell ill. Perhaps I overlooked the fact that he was mourning as well, albeit in his own distorted manner. Yet, I found no justification for the fury that consumed him, or the haunting echo of his silence. As his car thundered into the driveway, a jolt of disbelief coursed through me. I stood frozen at the window, heart racing, eyes wide, captivated by the unexpected arrival. He hesitated, the air thick with tension, before finally raising his hand to the door, but he didn't knock right away. He sat there, frozen in the car, knuckles white as he gripped the wheel with a tension that crackled in the air. At long last, he approached the door, the air thick with anticipation. Just as his knuckles were about to make contact, I flung the door wide open. His gaze pierced through me, a heartbeat suspended in time. His eyes burned with a crimson hue, a haunting testament to sleepless nights that clawed at his very soul. "May I enter this realm of yours?" he whispered, his voice barely a breath, as if the weight of the world hung in the air between them. I stepped aside, my heart pounding as the weight of the moment hung heavy in the air. He stood there, frozen in time, refusing to take a seat. He stood in the center of the living room, a tempest of anxiety swirling around him, shifting from foot to foot like a boy on the brink of a devastating reprimand. He began, his voice trembling with intensity. I read the letter again. I waited, my heart pounding like a drum in the silence, each second stretching into eternity, the air thick with tension and unspoken words. "You want me to give back the money?" he said, his voice dripping with tension, each word hanging in the air like a loaded gun. "Ah, but the money is not the crux of this tumultuous affair, is it?" "No, it runs far deeper than mere currency." I nodded, the weight of the moment crashing down upon me like a tidal wave, each heartbeat echoing the gravity of my decision. "Absolutely not." He raked his fingers through his hair, a storm brewing within him. I seized it in a moment of desperation, as the waters closed in around me, threatening to pull me under. Silence hung heavy in the air, a weight I couldn't bear to lift. I kept the truth locked away, knowing all too well the storm of disappointment that would erupt from my father's eyes. "I kept it from you, shrouded in silence, to spare you the burden of worry." I cast my gaze upon him, the weight of unspoken words hanging heavy in the air. "Yet, deep down, you were acutely aware of the darkness that loomed over your choices." "Indeed," he breathed, his voice barely a flicker in the heavy air. The silence loomed, a heavy curtain drawn tight between us, thick with unspoken words and electric tension. Then, with a breath that trembled like a fragile leaf in the wind, he plunged his hand into the depths of his jacket, retrieving a second envelope that seemed to pulse with untold secrets. "This is a receipt," he declared, his voice trembling with an intensity that hung in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. In a bold twist of fate, I seized control of my destiny and extinguished the loan with my own hard-earned cash, breaking free from the shadows of my father's account. "And I have severed all ties with the company card. Summon the accountant at once." "It has been submitted. The deed is done." I grasped the envelope tightly, my heart racing, yet I dared not unveil its secrets within. "I'm not merely in this for the cash," David declared, his voice trembling with intensity. "I'm driven by a desperate need to cling to the fragile remnants of this family, fearing the abyss that awaits if I let go." It was the first time his words pierced the heavy veil of silence that had enveloped me since the funeral, a moment so raw, so achingly real, it sent shivers down my spine. I lunged forward, my hand crashing down onto his shoulder with a force that echoed the tension in the air. "I want that too," I whispered, my voice trembling with unspoken desire. He shut his eyes, a fleeting moment of darkness enveloping him. My heart aches with an unbearable longing for him. "I do as well." He finally sank into the chair, the weight of the world pressing down upon him. Silence enveloped us, heavy and thick, as we lingered in the aftermath of unspoken truths. Words had abandoned us, leaving only the weight of our presence, a testament to the bond that still flickered in the shadows of our shared solitude. That fateful night, I brewed tea for us, the steam swirling like secrets in the air. It had been ages since I had done that for David, back when he was just a teenager, stumbling through life with a heart shattered or a spirit crushed. He would perch on the counter, eyes wide with wonder, as I stirred the pot, weaving a spell that seemed almost otherworldly. As he raised the glass to his lips, a tense silence enveloped the room. With a piercing gaze, he finally broke the stillness, his voice laced with intrigue. "So, is this a test? Will you bestow upon us the inheritance, but only after we demonstrate our worthiness?" I smiled, a mere flicker of light in the shadows of despair. "No, David. This is not a mere test. It looms before you, a portal to the unknown, shrouded in mystery and anticipation. There is no need for you to conquer any obstacles. With every step you must stride forth, head held high, embracing the storm that rages around you. He let out a hollow laugh, the sound echoing with a chilling finality. What? No bonus points? I chuckled, though perhaps with a hint less reprimand. In that fleeting moment, our smiles ignited, pure and unguarded, as if the world around us had faded into oblivion. The following day, Amanda made her dramatic entrance. She lingered at the threshold, a box clutched tightly in her hands, the air thick with unspoken tension. "What is that?" I demanded. "From the depths of the shelter," she declared. "Behold, the creation of homemade bread, a masterpiece born from the depths of the kitchen. A tantalizing aroma fills the air, whispering secrets of warmth and comfort. Each slice, a testament to love and labor, beckons with the promise of indulgence. The ladies, with a glimmer of mischief in their eyes, believed you would find this delightful. I revealed to them the secret of your Sunday baking rituals. My eyes widened in disbelief. Could it be that Amanda is haunted by a memory so profound, so unsettling, that it lingers in the shadows of her mind, waiting to be unearthed? That was an extraordinary occurrence, a moment so fleeting it sent shivers down the spine. "Thank you," I uttered, my fingers trembling as I grasped the box, a weight of anticipation hanging in the air. She pivoted on her heel, ready to escape, but then froze in her tracks. "Mother, money holds no power over my resolve." I nodded, the weight of the moment crashing down upon me like a tempest, each heartbeat echoing the gravity of my decision. "I am fully aware." She paused, a storm of uncertainty raging within her. "All I crave is for you to truly see me. Not the distorted reflection of myself that my father despised." My heart clenched in a vice of despair. "He didn't harbour hatred for you." Her gaze pierced through me, a tumultuous storm of guilt and hope swirling within those depths. "He loved you," I breathed, the weight of the words hanging in the air like a storm about to break. "He was engulfed in a tempest of fear, terrified at the thought of losing your very essence." Amanda's head dipped in a slow, deliberate nod, as if the weight of the world rested upon her shoulders. And just like that, she vanished into the shadows, leaving behind a silence that screamed of unspoken words and shattered dreams. That fateful night, I pressed play on yet another tape, the air thick with anticipation. Richard's voice erupted, shattering the silence of the room like glass, reverberating with an intensity that demanded attention. "This one is for Amanda, a tribute wrapped in the fabric of fate and destiny. If she's out there, I need her to recall those days when she crafted entire cities from Lego and whisper to me, 'One day I will construct real ones, Daddy.'" In that moment, she stood unyielding, a tempest of courage against the storm of uncertainty. I pray she still possesses that blazing inferno within her soul. "Hold it together, Mandy. The world is teetering on the edge, and you must not let go." I shut my eyes, surrendering to the torrent of tears that cascaded down my cheeks. On that fateful Sunday morning, they arrived 3 figures, united in an unexpected alliance. It was a twist of fate, an unexpected turn that shattered the calm. Nothing was as it seemed. Yet, in a twist of fate, they converged within mere moments of one another. We sat in the living room, the air thick with unspoken words, a palpable tension hanging like a storm cloud. Yet somehow, it was not hostile. "I finished the tapes," Mark declared, his voice trembling with a mix of triumph and dread. "I've been toiling at the shelter for a month now," Amanda declared, her voice trembling with the weight of her revelation. "I fixed the accounts," David declared, his voice steady yet heavy with unspoken consequences. I gazed upon them, truly gazed upon them, as if the very essence of their souls was laid bare before me. At long last, after the shroud of sorrow had settled, I laid eyes on my children once more. A moment heavy with unspoken words and lingering grief. Not the avaricious, wrathful strangers who clashed in the shadow of a coffin, yet the very souls Richard and I had nurtured. Imperfect, marred by the shadows of its own design, crimson stains the ground, a heart pierced by betrayal, a soul laid bare in agony. But the struggle continues. With a heavy heart, I declared, "This is the final letter I hold for each of you." With trembling hands, I presented them 3 pristine envelopes, each one a harbinger of fate. Within the depths of each, a singular, haunting sentence lay in wait. When the desperate grasp for wealth fades, only then will the true fortune arrive, unshackled from the chains of identity. And beneath it all, a check lay waiting, a silent promise of fate. But alas, not the entirety of the inheritance. Not yet. The tension hangs in the air, thick and palpable, as the clock ticks ominously, each second a reminder of the impending storm, merely a whisper of sufficiency. Just enough to send shivers down their spines, a haunting echo of what once was. Love, a relentless force, refuses to be extinguished by the cold grip of death. It pushes you to the brink, and if you dare to face the tempest, it reshapes your very essence. As the envelopes were torn open and the words revealed, a heavy silence fell upon them, each one paralyzed by the weight of the revelations. But Amanda smiled, a glimmer of defiance in her eyes, as if the world around her had crumbled, yet she stood unyielding, a beacon of hope amidst the chaos. David's hand trembled as he wiped away the tears that streamed down his cheeks, a storm of emotions raging within him. And Mark, the quiet one, leaned in, his voice barely a breath, a secret hanging in the air like a storm about to break. "Thank you, Mother." I leaned back in the chair, my heart pounding with an overwhelming surge of emotion. And in that moment, a wave of warmth surged through me, shattering the suffocating solitude that had clung to my heart for weeks. I was no longer adrift in the shadows of despair. The air in the living room hung like a fragile whisper, as if the house had finally released a long-held sigh, breaking the suffocating silence that had enveloped it for an eternity. I beheld the scene unfold before me, my children perched on the very same couch, their bodies aligned yet worlds apart. Silence reigns, the air thick with unspoken tension. No arguments shall erupt in this charged atmosphere. There was an eerie calm, a chilling absence of venom in their voices. Not a hint of tension crackled beneath their words. In a moment that felt like a scene pulled from the depths of memory, I beheld not merely my adult children, but the haunting echoes of their youthful selves, vivid and alive before my eyes. Amanda, a tempest of ambition and intellect, commanding attention even in her earliest days. David, forever donning the mantle of the protector, his heart a fortress against the chaos that surrounds him. And Mark, the tender-hearted dreamer, who would drift into slumber with a book resting on his chest, while Richard's coat enveloped him like a protective shield against the chaos of the world. "I thought you'd scream at us," Amanda exclaimed, her voice slicing through the heavy silence like a knife. In the wake of the funeral, I braced myself for the harsh words, the accusations of ingratitude, or the cold dismissal that would send us packing into the night. I offered her a fleeting smile, a mere whisper of warmth amidst the storm of emotions swirling around us. In the depths of my mind, a tempest brewed, swirling thoughts colliding in a cacophony of uncertainty. I pondered, weighed down by the gravity of my contemplation. That sent a ripple of laughter through David, a sound both unexpected and electric. But then, a revelation struck me like lightning, and I gazed into the eyes of each one of them. "Despite everything, you remain my children. And in the depths of sorrow, kindness often withers away. At times, love morphs into a tempest of panic, and from that chaos, selfishness emerges, clawing its way to the surface. I was certain your father would never allow me to abandon you in your time of need." Amanda's gaze fell, her fingers trembling as they toyed with the check, a silent storm brewing within her. Fury coursed through my veins, a tempest unleashed, and it was not merely the will that ignited this inferno within me. Fury coursed through me as I realized he had vanished without a word, leaving no farewell, no personal note to mark his departure. The silence was deafening, a betrayal that cut deep. Mark's throat tightened, a storm brewing within him as he prepared to speak. "You left the tapes unfinished, didn't you?" Her gaze pierced through the air, locking onto him with an intensity that could ignite the very atmosphere around them. With a dramatic flourish, he declared, "There's one more." As he plunged his hand into the depths of his bag, emerging with a USB stick that seemed to pulse with untold secrets. It bears the ominous mark of Amanda. Classified. How could I have turned a deaf ear to it? Amanda grasped it as if it were a fragile shard, teetering on the brink of shattering into a million pieces. Her hands quaked with an intensity that spoke of unspoken fears and hidden turmoil. "You must listen to it," I urged, my voice barely a whisper, laden with urgency. With a slow, deliberate nod, she sealed her fate. Then David's voice trembled, each word dripping with a raw vulnerability I hadn't witnessed in years. Fear gripped my heart, a chilling dread that you both viewed me as nothing more than a failure. In a whirlwind of chaos, I shattered the very foundation of the business. I concealed it, believing I could mend the shattered pieces before Dad uncovered the truth. Time slipped through my fingers like sand, and I was left gasping in the wake of my own naivety. His gaze pierced through the air, locking onto mine with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. How could I let his final recollection of me be tainted by that moment? As my fingers brushed against his hand, a jolt of electricity surged through the air, igniting a tension that hung like a storm cloud between us. "He was proud of you," I declared, my voice trembling with the weight of unspoken truths, "even in the depths of your blunders, particularly in those moments of chaos." David's eyes darted, a storm brewing within as he clenched his jaw, fighting against the tide of emotion threatening to spill forth. Mark leaned forward, his arms trembling on his knees, a storm brewing in his eyes. "Neither of you were alone in bearing the weight of unspoken regrets. How could I have let the moment slip away? I should have visited more, but now the weight of regret hangs heavy in the air, a haunting reminder of what could have been. How could I have been so blind? I should have probed deeper, unearthing the truths of life, the essence of you, the mysteries of it all. What was I thinking?" I smiled at him, a flicker of mischief dancing in my eyes, as if the world around us had paused, holding its breath in anticipation of what would unfold next. He abandoned those answers, casting them into the abyss of uncertainty. "In a moment of breathtaking revelation, you have just unleashed their potential." We lingered in a heavy silence, the air thick with unspoken words, as if the very atmosphere crackled with tension. The kind of silence that hangs in the air, heavy with unspoken truths, a palpable tension that electrifies the atmosphere, brimming with unspoken truths, lingering in the air like a heavy fog, for they had lost their urgency, their need to be voiced. With a surge of determination, I rose from my seat and strode purposefully toward the cabinet that loomed ominously in the hallway. With trembling hands, I retrieved the leather-bound book from its hiding place, its cover glistening ominously in the dim light as I placed it upon the table, the air thick with anticipation. "This is the legacy journal," I declared, my voice trembling with the weight of its significance. For years, Richard and I clung to it, a secret shrouded in shadows, a bond forged in silence. We penned letters to you, each word dripping with longing and urgency. Not for the moments of our demise, but for the fierce, unyielding breaths we took while we were alive. In the haunting echoes of time, when the shadows of our past beckon, you must grasp the essence of who we once were. Who are you, truly? What secrets lie beneath the surface of your existence? They gazed upon it as if it were a divine relic, shrouded in an aura of reverence and mystery. With a surge of determination, I pressed on, my voice trembling with intensity. "I want you to add to it," I declared, the weight of my words hanging in the air like a storm ready to break. "Compose your own missives. For your children, the very essence of hope and the fragile threads of tomorrow's dreams. Or your spouses, caught in the web of betrayal and secrets, their hearts beating wildly in the shadows of deception. Or even those we have never met before. If fate should ever intervene, let it bring forth more than mere riches. Let the words emerge from the shadows, a tempest of expression ready to unleash their fury upon the world." Mark's smile broke through the tension, a fleeting glimmer of hope in a world shrouded in darkness. Oh, how he would have revelled in that moment. The very thought sends a shiver down the spine, a bittersweet reminder of what could have been. His laughter, echoing through the air, a haunting melody of joy forever lost. If only he were here to witness it all, to bask in the glory of this fleeting joy. What a tragedy that he is not. Amanda nodded, her teeth sinking into her lip, a storm of emotions brewing within her. With a fierce determination blazing in his eyes, David rose to his feet and declared, "We shall rise above this, Mum. We shall. The time has come, and we will not falter." Indeed, I uttered those words. In the weeks that followed, everything spiraled into chaos. Amanda began to appear with an unsettling frequency, not merely to grace me with their presence, but to immerse themselves in the heart-wrenching reality of the shelter, even on those days when I could see the weariness etched across her face. In a whirlwind of compassion, she unveiled her cherished baking recipes to the women gathered around her, igniting a spark of camaraderie. With fervour and determination, she launched a weekend food drive, a heartfelt tribute to Richard's legacy, as the air thickened with purpose and emotion. David, once a titan of the company, now stepped back into its hallowed halls, but this time as an advisor, stripped of his former glory, a shadow of the leader he once was. In the shadows, he moulded the new team, brokered a fragile truce with the accountant, and toiled in silence, shunning the spotlight that so many craved. He took the stage, a beacon of redemption, hosting intimate workshops for the eager young entrepreneurs. With fervour, he imparted the lessons of business ethics, the very principles he had once cast aside in the shadows of his past. In a bold move that sent ripples through the community, Mark unveiled a groundbreaking digital archive, Voices of Dad. This free audio library, a treasure trove of Richard's poignant tapes and heartfelt letters, stands as a beacon for those grappling with the heavy burdens of grief, regret, and the relentless weight of family pressure. In a whirlwind of chaos and intrigue, it exploded into the public eye, captivating hearts and minds in less than a month. He let it slip through his fingers, a golden opportunity left untouched, a treasure buried in the sands of time. He stood his ground, unwavering, a storm brewing in his eyes. "This is his voice," he declared with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. "It must be liberated. The chains of cost must be shattered." Messages poured in from every corner, each one a testament to the fervour and urgency that gripped the hearts of many. Strangers, moved to the core, confessed that the tapes ignited a fire within them, prompting calls to estranged parents, heartfelt forgiveness for long-held grudges against siblings, and tears that flowed like a river for the first time in years. Richard was gone. Yet his voice reverberated through the air, a haunting reminder that lingered like a ghost in the shadows. And I? What fate awaits me in this tangled web of uncertainty? The shadows loom, and the air crackles with tension as I stand on the precipice of destiny, heart racing, breath hitching in my throat. What will become of me? In a moment that felt like an eternity, I found myself awakening to life once more. In a twist of fate, I found myself stepping into the enigmatic world of a book club. In a moment of bold defiance against the mundane, I plunged my hands into the earth, burying vibrant new flowers that would rise like phoenixes from the soil, demanding attention and admiration. Once more, I found myself in the kitchen, the air thick with anticipation as I embarked on another baking adventure. It was a moment suspended in time, a haunting reminder of a life before the shadows crept in, before the diagnosis shattered the fragile illusion of normalcy. And every Sunday, the scene unfolded: my 3 children, gathered around the table, their presence a mix of joy and tension, as if the very air crackled with unspoken words and hidden emotions. Not a soul dared to utter a word about the inheritance. In a world where greed often reigns supreme, an astonishing silence enveloped the scene. No one dared to clash over the spoils of land and wealth. We erupted in laughter, a sound that pierced the silence like a thunderclap, echoing through the air with an intensity that left us breathless. There were moments when tears streamed down our faces, a torrent of emotion unleashed. Yet, amidst the chaos and turmoil, we found a way to mend our shattered souls. On a fateful evening, Amanda pressed play on the tape, a haunting melody crafted solely for her ears. As I meticulously folded the laundry, a chilling sound pierced the air, emanating from her phone speakers, shattering the mundane silence. She sat on the porch, tears streaming down her face, the weight of the world pressing heavily upon her heart. Richard's voice echoed through the air, laden with a haunting intensity. "Mandy, you were always my wild one, my tempest bruise. There were moments, dark and tumultuous, when your essence eluded me, and the depths of my affection fell short of your desperate yearning. but my heart has always belonged to you. If you're hearing these words, I can only pray that your fury hasn't consumed you entirely. Oh, how I wish to etch this truth into the very fabric of your being. You were never, ever too much. You were always more than enough, a radiant force in a world that often failed to see your brilliance. Amanda's gaze pierced through the veil of her tears, a haunting reflection of despair. He uttered the words of farewell, a haunting echo that lingered in the air. I approached her, my heart racing, and enveloped her in a tight embrace. "No," I gasped, my voice barely escaping my lips. He uttered those haunting words. "Come back." The air thickened with tension, as if the very universe held its breath, waiting for a response that could shatter the silence. And she did. The air crackled with tension, every heartbeat echoing the weight of her decision, as if the universe held its breath in anticipation. The moment hung suspended, a fragile thread poised to snap, and then she did. They all succumbed to the inevitable. Not for the money. Oh, the audacity of it all. Not for the will, but for the heart's deepest desires. But for the family we had come perilously close to losing. And together we rose from the ashes, reconstructing it piece by piece, one fateful Sunday at a time.